Greetings, brothers and sisters of the Disc House Carmelite Secular Order who are following this series of videos trying to understand the constitutions of this Disc House Carmelite Secular Order. Welcome to all those who are interested in joining the Secular Order, or those who are spouses or friends of people who are members of the Secular Order who wish to know more about belonging to the Secular Order and what it means to belong to the Secular Order. Which brings us to the section that we're on now. This is video number 76, I think. Video number 76, and it begins the 6th chapter of the Constitutions. And the 6th chapter is Formation in the School of Carmel. Now, first thing to understand that this is a very important section. Well, every section is important because it talks about the essence of what it means to be a member of an organization that is the fruit of the church and the fruit of the Holy Spirit in the church. I want to make some clarifications before we begin to discuss formation in the School of Carmel. Formation as a Disc House Carmelite member of the Secular Order, or a member of the Disc House Carmelite Secular Order. There are many ways to belong to the family of the Teresian Carmel, as there are many ways to belong to the church. There are many ways to belong to the Holy Roman Catholic Apostolic Church. You can belong to the Holy Roman Catholic Apostolic Church by being a secular Carmelite. You can belong to the Holy Roman Catholic Church by being a Franciscan Third Order member, a secular order member of the Dominicans, or the Augustinians, or an associate of any of the religious congregations. You can belong to the Holy Roman Catholic Church by being a member of your parish, by participating in the life of your parish. There are many ways to belong to the church. So there are also many ways to belong to the family of Carmel. But we make a distinction between the order of Carmel and the family of Carmel. Because not all members, not all people, not all persons who identify themselves with the Teresian Carmelite family are members of the Teresian Carmelite order. There are some people who are very devoted to the scapular, very, very devoted to the scapular, which is part of the Teresian identity, which is part of Carmelite identity. But it's a part of it, it's not the whole thing. But if a person is motivated to belong out of devotion to Our Lady of Mount Carmel, out of devotion to the scapular, and to the understanding that the scapular brings of the message of protection and salvation that comes through the Blessed Virgin Mary. Well, salvation doesn't come through the Blessed Virgin Mary. Salvation comes through her Son. But the protection that comes from Mary and the guarantee for salvation through devotion and living a life devoted to Our Lady through the wearing of the brown scapular. There's an organization called the Confraternity of the Brown Scapular, which is part of the Teresian Carmelite family. If you're devoted to Saint Teresa, which many people are devoted to Saint Teresa, to the Little Flower, to Saint Teresa of the Child Jesus, Saint Teresa of Lisieux, many people are devoted to her. There are in October, and at the end of September, beginning up to the 1st of October, which is the feast of St. Teresa, there are many novenas and many Carmels throughout the world, many devotions to, you can see them on YouTube, you can see them on TikTok, you can see these different devotions to Our Lady, to St. Teresa, carrying her statues, to the ceremony of a blessing of roses and the distribution of roses in honor of St. Teresa. So there's a pious union of the pious way, a devotional way in which a person belongs to the family of Carmel without belonging to the order of Carmel. You can belong to the family and not belong to the order. The order is defined in the beginning of the constitutions. In the beginning of the constitutions, it defines the order. Just give me a second. In number 1, Carmelite seculars, together with the friars and nuns, are sons and daughters of the Order of Our Lady of Mount Carmel and Saint Teresa. As a result, they share the same charism with the religious, each according to their own particular state of life. It is one family with the same spiritual possessions, the same call to holiness, and the same apostolic mission. Same spiritual possessions, same call to holiness, same apostolic mission. So the order is understood to be the seculars together with the friars and nuns. This is as far as you're concerned, as far as the seculars are concerned. If someone identifies with Saint Teresa wholeheartedly, Saint Teresa of Avila, Saint Teresa of Jesus, or identifies with Saint John of the Cross, really is attracted to Saint John of the Cross, or Saint Teresa, or Saint Teresa Benedicta of the Cross, or Saint Elizabeth of the Trinity, or any of the Carmelite saints, or Our Lady of Mount Carmel. They're motivated by their attraction, and their attraction leads them to a real solid devotion. If someone is motivated because of friendship with a particular monastery of friars or nuns, they're friends of Carmel. In Indonesia, we have, here in Indonesia, we have 2 separate groups, OCDS, and what we call here Sahabat Carmel, Friends of Carmel. And they're friends of a monastery. They're not particularly called, and this is the point, they're not particularly called to be members of the order, but to identify with a monastery, to be supportive, contributing with time, contributing with affection, contributing financially to the support of a particular monastery, a particular group. But not the whole order. They're not called to the whole order. So if one is motivated by devotion, there are ways in which that person becomes a member of the Carmelite family. One becomes a member of the Carmelite order by vocation, by being called. You're called to become what you are not. And because this is why the period of formation is an essential period of understanding, of discerning the call. What are we discerning? We're not discerning whether or not a person is a good person. We're not discerning whether or not a person is holy. We're discerning it through the process of formation, the calling of the person. Are you called to be a member of this order? And as I point out all the time with the brothers, the constitutions do not come from the order. They might be written by the order, but they come from the Holy See. It's the Holy See that says who's a member of the order, who's not a member of the order. So we might be moved, or we might be devoted, or we might be affectionate in a certain way, in a certain aspect of the Discalced Carmelite charism. But a person who's called to be a member of the order, of the secular order, or the order of friars, or the order of nuns, is called to become something that they are not. They're called to develop in themselves a vocation, a call, respond to a call. And the response to the call is found in the program of formation. Formation in the school of Carmel. Now listen to number 32. It's a very short number. 1 sentence. 3 lines. The central object of the process of formation in the secular order is to prepare the person to live the charism and spirituality of Carmel, in the following of Christ and in the service to its mission, not my mission, not your mission, the mission of the Order of Carmel, the Discalced Carmelite Order, the Teresian Carmelite Order. What's the mission of the Teresian Carmelite Order? It's not what I say it is, it's what the church says it is through the constitutions. So the central object of the process of formation is not the development of your devotion. The central object of the process of formation in the sacred order is to prepare the person to live the charism and the spirituality of Carmel in its following of Christ and in service to its mission. So when you think about this, this is what distinguishes the person who is motivated personally with deep devotion, with great love for Our Lady or Saint Teresa or Saint John of the Cross or Saint Teresa or a particular monastery or a particular nun or a particular friar, and is willing to sacrifice themselves and out of devotion and love serve that particular desire. And someone, that's one way of belonging to the Teresian family. The other way is to belong to the Order of Saint Teresa, the Order of the Discalced Carmelite Order, and that is to receive a call to, despite your own personal attractions, you are called to be more than just devoted to Saint Teresa or say Our Lady of Mount Carmel or the Scapular or Saint Joseph or Saint John of the Cross or Saint Teresa Benedict. It's more than just devotion. So you have to understand all the parts that go into the identity of the Teresian Carmelite order. All of the parts. A religious family, consecrated life, dedicated life, life that's recognized and receives from the church its identity, and you adapt yourself to the identity that the church gives. You adapt yourself, you move yourself to learn what does it mean to be a Carmelite. I belong to a community in Yogyakarta, Indonesia. That community belongs to a commissariat, the commissariat of St. Joseph of Indonesia. The commissariat of Indonesia belongs to an order, the Discalced Carmelite order. The order that I belong to belongs to the church, the Roman Catholic Church. And in that succession of church, order, commissariat, community, I find myself responding, not telling, not saying, this is who, I do not say, this is who you are to the community, or this is who you are to the church, or this is who you are to the order. I say to the church, I say to the order, I say to the community, who am I? And then the community, the commissariat, the order, the church instructs me. The higher the instruction, the more responsibility there is to listen. So, on a local level, the community can make a mistake, and it's up to the commissariat to correct the community. Or the commissariat can make a mistake. Then it's up to the order to correct the commissariat. Or the order can make a mistake. Then it's up to the church to correct the order. All of this is to show, the reason why I'm saying all this is to show how we belong to something, and we have to learn what it means to belong to it. So formation is learning. It's more than information. We'll talk about this more. Information is 1 + 1 = 2. Information is 1 + 1 = 2 + 1 = 3. Formation is understanding, not maybe understanding, but accepting 1 + 1 + 1 = 1. The Trinity of persons in one God. Formation is more than information. Information can be, if information is good, formation can be good. If information is bad, formation is very bad. We'll talk about that more as we go on, but there's a difference between information. So formation is not just classes of information. And it's for this reason that you'll see in the constitutions that while the presence of the religious assistant, priest, or other person who's appointed to be religious assistant is essential, the religious assistant, as a religious, is not the formator. The formator has to be a layperson who helps laypersons understand how to live a vocation as a layperson. There's too much danger of an imitation nun or an imitation friar or an imitation priest or an imitation brother for formation. So the central object of formation in the second order is to prepare the person to live, not just know. You can know the charism and not live it. You're not a Carmelite. You can know the spirituality and not live it. You can give wonderful lectures on the spirituality of Saint Teresa, of the Child Jesus, but not live them. You can be correct, but not follow. Formation is to learn to follow Christ more closely, not just know about it. So formation in the School of Carmel has for its purpose the preparation of the person to live the charism. What is the charism? We have to learn it. What is the spirituality? What did St. Teresa teach? What did St. John of the Cross teach? We have to learn it. This is so that we can be of service in following Christ and service to the order's purpose for being in existence. The order has a reason. The order has a vocation. The order has a purpose. You are part of that call. What is the purpose of being a Carmelite? Now read number 33. And then we'll start to understand maybe a little bit better. With sincere interest in the teachings of the Church and the spirituality of our Carmelite saints, Carmelite seculars seek to be men and women who are mature in the practice of faith, hope, and love, and in their devotion to the Virgin Mary. They commit themselves to deepening their Christian, ecclesial, and Carmelite life. Christian formation is the solid basis of Carmelite and spiritual formation. Through the Catechism of the Catholic Church and church documents, secular Carmelites receive the necessary theological foundation. Your vocation, our vocation, needs a foundation. What is the foundation? The foundation is what is revealed. What is revealed by God about God, what is revealed by God about us. St. Teresa says about the spiritual life, that the spiritual life is to know these truths, two truths. Who is God and who am I? It's revealed. It's not what I say to myself who I am. This is the great mistake throughout all the ages, and it's certainly the mistake of our present age, that I tell you who I am. No. It's God who tells us who we are. It's God who reveals to us who we are through all sorts of ways, in many ways. But fundamentally, through the teaching of the Church, the one holy Catholic and Apostolic Church. So with sincere interest in the teachings of the Church and the spirituality of our Carmelite saints, we have a fabulous, rich source of understanding, of knowledge, of wonderful information. And good, wonderful information will give us the possibility of good formation. So in the teachings of the Church and in the writings of St. Teresa, St. John of the Cross as fundamental to the spirituality of the Teresian Carmel, we have a sincere interest. Those things become what we read, no matter what other things we read. There's an English author, very Christian, very Catholic with a small c. He never became a Roman Catholic, never was baptized as a Catholic. But I'm sure you've heard of him in the English-speaking world. C.S. Lewis. C.S. Lewis wrote an introduction to a translation from Greek of a work by St. Athanasius. The work by St. Athanasius was on the Incarnation. And I remember the introduction is almost as long as the translation. It's a very long introduction. But in it he says a wonderful thing. There's not enough time to read everything. So only read the things that are good. And if you don't have too much time to read everything that's good, then read the classics. Read classical things. He's talking about in Christianity. What are the classics of Christianity? The fathers and doctors of the Church, the teaching of the Church as a foundation. What are the classics of Discalced Carmelite spirituality? St. Teresa, St. John of the Cross, St. Teresa, they're doctors of the Church. Read them. We want to know, what does the Church teach? And if we have something wrong on our mind, we want the Church to correct us. We want the Church to be a teacher. We want to be students. We want to be people who are happy to learn, willing to learn, willing to be corrected in our understanding. We might have a different understanding. For example, St. Teresa's definition of prayer. Prayer, mental prayer, in my opinion, is a dealing in friendship, taking time frequently to be alone with the one whom we know loves us. Whom we know loves us. For example, if I have an idea, if I have in my mind an idea that if I pray, then God will love me. Then God will forgive me. Then I will be acceptable to God. We might never really develop a life of prayer. But if I understand that God already loves me, God is ready already to forgive me. God already accepts me and desires to be with me. If I understand that that's the truth, then my prayer life will be a lot different than the prayer life of somebody who has to make God love them. We can't make God love us. Because we cannot make God love us, because God already loves us. So this is what I mean. This is what I mean by saying that it is necessary to have the correct information and to understand the correct information. What does the Church teach? What does St. Teresa teach? What does St. John of the Cross teach? And then auxiliary to St. Teresa and St. John of the Cross, what does St. Teresa teach as doctors of the church? So the fathers, the doctors, I would say that the fundamental and basic library of every Carmelite, friar, nun, secular, is the first book that's present in the library of a Carmelite is the Bible, Revelation, the book of Revelation, not the book of Revelations as in the Apocalypse, but the book that reveals who God is and who we are. Understand who God is and understand who you are. You get that fundamentally from Revelation. Revelation then comes first to the Bible, then comes to the teachings of the church. The teachings of the church may be found wonderfully explained in the Catechism of the Catholic Church. So in addition to the scriptures, there's the Catechism of the Catholic Church. Third, the writings, the collected, the works of St. Teresa of Jesus, the works of St. John of the Cross, and the writings of St. Teresa, the Child Jesus. If you have those 5 levels of reading available to you, you can read other things, of course, but you always go back to those 5 things to find yourself, your foundation for understanding who are you? Who is God? Who is calling you? And what does God want from you? The teachings of the church, the teachings of St. Teresa, St. John of the Cross, St. Therese, based on the revelation of God in the scriptures. So that's the fundamental foundation for everything else. You can read Carl Jung, you can read all the other things that might be popular in psychology and popular spirituality, the books that you might find in a bookstore. Although sometimes I'm horrified at what I find if I go into a bookstore, big bookstore, Amazon or some big bookstore, and look at the section on spirituality. To me, some of it's funny that's found in the section on spirituality. But for us, for someone who's a follower of Christ, there's the foundation. The Bible, Catechism, Teresa, John, Therese. 5 foundation stones for understanding my life as a member of the Teresian Carmel, whether it's a friar or a nun or a secular. We have to learn. Blessed are those who learn. We have wonderful teachers. The Holy Spirit being the first and the principal teacher. So let us appreciate then this period that many of you are in, the period of formation. So let us appreciate the call that we have received. Let us try to understand it more clearly. Let us try to understand it more deeply so that we can live it more fully. God bless you and thank you for your attention. Please, as I always say, subscribe to this channel, OCD for OCDS, and hit the alarm button so that you receive notification. Thank you and God bless you. See you next time.